Up next on Veteran on the Move, I'm talking with Army veteran Albert Winks, founder of Ascension Mentorship, which is a membership-based mentorship and connection company designed to focus on who members are rather than merely what they do to make a living.
Welcome to Veteran on the Move. If you're a veteran in transition, an entrepreneur wannabe, or someone still stuck in that job trying to escape, this podcast is dedicated to your success. And now, your host, Joe Crane.
If you're a veteran interested in a new game plan, 7-Eleven may have what you're looking for. Their structured franchise program is a perfect fit for your experience and skills. Franchise with a leader. It's a smart game plan for vets and a win for 7-Eleven. Check out the details at veteranonthemove.com/7-Eleven. Army veteran Albert Winks founded Ascension Mentorship to help foster connections and networking among entrepreneurs and business owners. Through neuroscience, mentorship, and true connection, Ascension Mentorship creates, shares, and spreads abundance with concentrations ranging from youth empowerment up to corporate culture shifts. All right, Albert Winks, welcome to Veteran on the Move. We're looking forward to hearing your entrepreneurial story. Before we get to doing that, take us back and tell us what you did in the Army.
Yeah, sure. I appreciate you having me on today. Well, actually, when you say when I was in the Army twice, had a 6-year break in service. So I originally started out in the infantry in the late 90s and went over to Germany and was there for a couple of years. Got out in 2000. Obviously was in college when 9/11 happened. Had a few opportunities to come back in at that time and really had a personal goal to, maybe it's a story for another time, but a personal goal of mine was to complete my degree. So I just decided to go further south. I'm from Texas, go further south, join ROTC and make sure I get my commission that way. And so through ROTC, I actually was able to get the highest marks in leadership, graduated top of my class, and was actually selected one of only 12 new graduates to become a medevac helicopter pilot, which most people don't know that's actually an additional layer. You don't just go join aviation. We're actually medevac pilots, at least on the officer side, are Med Service Corps. So. So I joined back up in 2006, and my one long deployment was 2009 and 10. I flew 268 combat missions in Afghanistan and ended up evacuating over 350 patients with my crew and I while we were over there.
Wow. Yeah, so I'm sure you got, that's probably hundreds of stories you can put down on paper from all that. Yeah,
that's true.
So you got out of the Army a couple of years ago. I mean, what kind of things were going through your head as you were looking to get out of the Army, and what was your transition like?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I was in Savannah, Georgia at the time that I finished my flight time and knew that I wanted to transition out. Just didn't see the writing on the wall for staying in at that point. And so I wanted to move to a more metropolitan area to finish out my Army time, and was offered a position in just south of Indianapolis at Camp Atterbury to be, I'm going to use civilian terms here so everybody understands it, but like a senior level consultant. Not many people know that the all National Guard and Reserve actually funnel through Indianapolis, both to their deployment, regardless of where it is, Iraq, Afghanistan, Kosovo, Bosnia, Africa, and they also transition back through. So it's kind of like an hourglass that they come back through Camp Atterbury, just south of Indianapolis. And so I was on the brigade level staff. So again, a senior level consultant on how to get people to and from theater and appropriately train them, and both on their way out and on their way back. So through that, I was able to live in downtown Indianapolis, and it's, if you're not familiar with it, it's a great big small town, so it has metropolitan feel to it, but it definitely has that a small town feel that everybody knows everybody else and that kind of thing. So I was able to get involved with a lot of organizations and groups, Freemasons. There's a couple of professional clubs, if you want to call them that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on several boards and committees and things. And so I was actually hired as I was transitioning out of the Army, my last year in, I was hired by a Fortune 100 company. And as amazing as that sounds, I was doing some part-time work for them, and during that transition period, and it was great. It was great to see what a Fortune 100 company looks like from the inside, and go through all the things that they went through. And it was great to work with the amazing people that are in that line of work at the highest level. And I definitely learned a lot. However, for those of us who have that entrepreneurial spirit, and like myself, that I always have 100,000-foot view on things, it was really difficult to be siloed in that line of work. And so I made that difficult decision that we all have to come to, which timing-wise was at the same time I got out of the Army, was the same time that I quit my position at a Fortune 100 company. So went out on totally civilian side, and through my connections and things, several people said, Albert, we own businesses, and we'd love for you to be, in essence, a referral agent for us. And within about 3 months, I had my name on 6 different business cards. And I realized, man, I've got something going here with people. Obviously know I'm a connector, and they value my word and my connections that can be a value to them. So I created Basecamp Business Consulting. So I was a solo entrepreneur, did some consulting. I have 3 main clients that I usually talk about that they're 3 entrepreneurs that I was able to help them double in size. 2 of them doubled in size, opened second locations. One of them is a jewelry store that was voted number 1 in their category in a very astute part of Indianapolis. Another is a CPA firm that I love telling the story because the initial ideas were for us to get $60,000 for his first year of being open in business, be in the black for $60,000. And within the end of his first year, we had gotten him over 5 times that amount of business. Wow. In revenue.
That's
so
awesome.
I knew I had a winning philosophy. And so through being a consultant for about 1.5 years, I then created Ascension Mentorship to help impact more people on that same scale and scope, but be able to help more people more often. So I don't know how deep you want me to go into Ascension yet, maybe, but
well, yeah. First of all, I will actually. I am actually familiar with Indianapolis. I lived there as a kid. I got a sister that lives there, and my parents live there in Indianapolis also. And I am actually familiar with Camp Atterbury because my parents, through the USO and maybe even a little Rotary Club interest or participation, they've actually been out to Camp Atterbury and doing some volunteer work for some of the troops coming and going out there. So I've heard their stories about being out at Camp Atterbury. So as far, I do want to go back a little bit.
Sure.
When you said that you had several businesses, they wanted you to be a referral agent. What exactly does that mean, and what were you doing as a referral agent to them?
Sure. So they all had their own products and solutions that they wanted to get out there and have really relationship-based business, right? That's what most businesses say that they strive to do, is have relationship-based business. Well, in order to have a relationship, you have to have a connection. And thankfully, people knew that I was very connected, or know that I'm very connected here in Indianapolis and beyond. And they valued my connections. And so they said, hey, if you connect us to certain people and a sale closes on this, we'll give you, I guess you'd say, a brokerage fee and that sort of thing. So I was able to leverage. That's how I started Basecamp Business Consulting, was knowing that I knew good people that were doing good things through their business. and they would be an asset to clients of mine. And so that's how Basecamp really started. Was I knew that there was value in my relationships, and then that just compounded, and that's how I came up with Ascension Mentorship.
Now, can you give like a couple of actual examples where you had a business and you made some connections and brought some people in, and what type of business were they, or what type of services and products they provided?
Sure. So the CPA firm that I worked with, that's not only a client of mine, but also is one of my members in Ascension Mentorship. He had originally, I knew him when he was still an employee at a different location. And I was going to do some work for his boss at that time. And he was the office manager, if you want to call it that, senior staff member that ran the whole shop. And so he was raising money to buy in partnership at a CPA firm. And after chatting with me and having his own kind of come to terms moments on things, he realized that here it is, he saved up plenty of money, and here he was going to buy in over a 5-year period, certain amount of ownership into the business. And then he realized, well, why can't I just go start my own business? So he immediately called me and knew that I had other connections, because as you know, as entrepreneurs, especially a CPA, you're going to need brick and mortar. You're going to need printers. You're going to need secure lines and things like phone lines and computer lines, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to facilitate. I had connections of mine that came out, designers that designed his office, furniture companies that came out and sold him and delivered his furniture. We did the computer or the printers that he has were all purchased through connections of mine, and things of that nature. So we it really did help him alleviate a lot of stress on his part, that he didn't have to waste a lot of his time trying to thumb through and find who sells printers, because he and other parts and pieces to his business. He needed to be a CPA. He needed to focus on the things that he needed to do through his as I call craft. So he was able to focus on what he needed to, and I was able to do the back end and get his business established that way.
That's interesting. And a lot of the establishing you were doing, you were bringing in people that you already had connections with to do a lot of the work or provide the products and services that he was going to need.
Yes.
Interesting. And so you've collected this network of business and products and services over the last couple of years. And if when somebody comes to you and they want your help, you already know who to go to, and you already know who is going to help them.
Yeah, that's how I started out with Basecamp Business Consulting. And then through that, I realized that it made more sense to, even though I had a winning formula and winning concept, I was still only a sole entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And what I realized is that it made more sense to be an organization. So that's how I came up with Ascension Mentorship, which now we literally opened our doors in May of 2016, and it quickly grew to now we're over 80 members coast to coast. So I have people that are always on the move. I have folks, and I say this very poignantly, that a networking company only focuses on what you do that makes a living. Whereas Ascension Mentorship, we focus on who you are that makes a difference. When we understand who you are, and with us leading with who you are, now we know why you do what you do. So we've already established the relationship. We already know we're going to do business with you quickly. So we have members that are multi-layered, and I mean by that by a lot of us as entrepreneurs do multiple things that bring in income and that showcase our passion. So we're not only father, like myself, I'm a father. I'm passionate about faith at my level, and passionate about philanthropy and veterans and things of that nature. So that's who I am. And there are other people like me that do that as well, and they have their own things that we get to showcase. And that's great that we're able to be more well-rounded and know that we're here to help you expand on who you are that makes a difference, as opposed to only what you do that makes a living.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Albert, hold on just a second. We're going to take a quick break,
Sure.
and we'll be right back. If you're a veteran interested in a new game plan, 7-Eleven may have what you're looking for. We're talking franchising, owning your own store. 7-Eleven's franchise program puts your military experience to work in a structured environment that's all about success. And special military incentives and financing make ownership easier. So think about it. Franchising with the convenience leader. It's a smart game plan for vets and a win for 7-Eleven. Check out the details at veteranonthemove.com/711. All right, we're back with Albert Winks from Ascension Mentorship. So, Albert, over the break, we were discussing a couple of things. I wonder if you could really dig into Ascension Mentorship, because I'm kind of scratching my head over exactly what you're doing and exactly how this works. So, can you explain that so that we've got a clear picture?
Yeah, you bet. And you're not alone. There's, I guess most people these days really have gotten used to being part of organizations and being part of entities that say that they want to, like networking groups or even chamber, Rotary, all those things that we usually see going into any town. We see the chamber and Rotary signs. But the reason that those things exist is to create relationships and then business. However, they don't put relationships first. They put business first. You pay dues. It's kind of like a gym membership. You go in and, well, if you don't make money off of it, make a living off of it, well, that's on you. You paid your dues. That's where we end. However, Ascension Mentorship, I'm very leadership heavy. I'm the only person that vets in new membership. So I make sure that I keep a high trust and low anxiety environment for my members. I'm the only one that lets them come in and join as a member, so we're not a free-for-all. And through that, we are relationship-based. Every member fills out a registration form that's exactly the same. They get to showcase that to other people, the other members, and they get to see who's out there in what location, what they're passionate about, not only in what they do for a living, but what they do to make a difference. And so a lot of our people are very multi-layered, a lot of entrepreneurs, and what Ascension does is gets them together for a multitude of meetings. I call it Legos as opposed to layers. And even though that Ascension is a complex organism, it doesn't mean that it's complicated. So these people get together, my members get together, I call them villagers. They get together through, we have multitude of ways for them to connect, whether it's on Facebook or LinkedIn, for members only groups, and showcase what they're doing. They're able to connect automatically with each other. They're able to visit events that we are hosting. We have weekly connection events. We also have other monthly events that, like next week, we're hosting a nonprofit forum where we get together. It's kind of a mixture of town hall and an executive roundtable. We have presidents of nonprofits, because at Ascension Mentorship, we do not charge nonprofits to join us. And so we have presidents of nonprofits. We have company entities, organizations, leaders in the organization, leaders in politics that all come out to this. That's why I call it a mixture of a town hall and a executive roundtable, so that people can actually share these experiences and understand how to engage more with each other. I can't tell you how many events I've been to, no matter what they are, whether it's Freemason or Chamber or Rotary or many other networking companies that are out there, and you get a 60-second pitch. That's it. Nobody knows anything about you other than that 60 seconds. Mm-hmm. Everything else is on you. That's moment thinking. That's throwing your cards at each other and hoping for the best. We, Ascension Mentorship, are movement thinking. We're all together in this. It literally is, at its core, the village mentality. Our core values, and I'll end with this, our core values are to empower, develop, and collaborate. That's the mindset that we have.
And so So what is there a cost associated with joining, and it sounds like there's different levels of membership also?
Yes. So we are membership based, and so we do have different membership levels, different statuses, if you want to call it that. But for everybody's first 2 years, nobody pays over $1,000 per year, which is quite relevant to other networking opportunities that are out there. And so that gives both the member and Ascension Mentorship the ability to test drive each other. That, again, myself and a few others, very select few people, are allowed to vet in new membership and allow membership and give them access to our events and things of that nature. And so our new people who may not be familiar with it or may not have a lot of money to throw around like a young entrepreneur, or may not have a lot of time, we appreciate their time. We value their time. So we make sure that everything that we do is very focused on how to give the greatest value at the, I don't want to say lowest cost, but definitely an opportune cost for them, and to figure out for the first 2 years. And by year 3, we figured it out between us, what works best for them as far as paying dues or profit sharing or how to advertise, many other opportunities there.
And so, like from some of your members, over the last couple of years, like what kind of value or what kind of opportunity has arisen for some of your members?
Yeah, great question. So perfect example of that is we created a veteran entrepreneur event, a weekly event that started a couple of months back. Within the first 24 hours, we like to have about 10 people per event like that, so people can spend a greater deal of time sharing what they're doing. Within 24 hours of that, we had people exchanging not only just not merely information, but they had them already exchanging commerce. They were changing dollars. The example is that there was a brewery, and within 24 hours, through the connections of the other group members, they had they call it a tap line, a keg line sold to another local location. They also had, they met a chef within the group, a veteran chef, who was able to revamp the brewery's menu and even offered him a position to do that, obviously to create some commerce between those two guys. So that's exactly what it's about, is maintaining those knowing relationship first, but at the same time knowing that you're there to create, share, and spread abundance. You're there to buy, you're there to sell, you're there to make a living and make a difference at the same time.
Now, how is it that that's kind of what the Rotary clubs and your Chamber of Commerce are supposed to do, but oftentimes it doesn't really seem like that's happening. So why is Ascension Mentorship different? How is it different?
And I'm glad that you have that perspective, because a lot of business folks like yourself and I, we do go through those trials and tribulations of putting money out for dues and annual dues every year for nothing, and for nothing in return. It's a lot of, I guess you lose the leadership. Well, those companies, those entities, those organizations, I challenge you to find their leader. Who's in charge? Whereas with Ascension Mentorship, like I said, I'm the only person, or was the only person that brought in members. Now I've delegated some authority to 3 other members to do the same. But even at that, we have hands-on. I am the leader. People know who I am. They see me. I'm the one that posts a lot of the information. I'm the one that answers a lot of the questions in like orientation style. I'm the one that facilitates our calendar, all that. I am heavy into the leadership of it. I'm heavy into the visibility, the clarity of it. And so that helps my members understand that they're always a phone call, a text, or an email away from me at any given time. And again, that creates that high trust, low anxiety environment.
Okay, so if one of the listeners out there fairly new in a business, if they're not in Indianapolis, can Ascension Mentorship do something for them?
Oh, certainly. Yeah. Like I said, we're coast to coast. So we actually have over almost 100 members coast to coast. I have a couple in Seattle. Again, we do have nonprofits that join us for free as well. So we've got some great nonprofits, several military-focused nonprofits around the U.S. already. And we do have multi-layers of access, right? I'm 36, so I'm kind of on the cusp of being, I'm older than a millennial. So we have different age groups that have different ways of being connected to us, whether they want to be on LinkedIn or Facebook. We have some general pages for both members and non-members, but then we also have specific members-only groups on both Facebook and LinkedIn. We have obviously our website, which showcases our membership base, as well as folks can get onto conference calls if they aren't able to participate physically in meetings or events, things of that nature too. So yeah, I'm always thinking of new ways of listening, obviously through my members, as to how they can get more engaged and at the appropriate level for them, and what's fair for their time and their passion and their profit, to be honest with you.
And how do we find you on the website?
So the website is ascensionmentorship.com. And
we can get pretty good information about your organization, looking around on your website and see what's going on. And then from there, if somebody shows an interest, they can just submit something from your website.
Yes, we have plenty of contact lists on there, contact forms on every page. We just launched that new website, so we're very proud of that, showcasing all of our members. And so we had multiple contact sheets on there. You can also email me at albert@ascensionmentorship.com as well.
All right, that sounds great, Albert. Before we go, which we're getting close to the end of our time here, if you're talking to that veteran or soon-to-be veteran out there that really wants to get into entrepreneurship and running their own show instead of going out and getting a job, what kind of advice would you have to them for cracking the code on entrepreneurship?
Sure, definitely. It is tough, and that's what was disappointing about joining, for myself and then several others, I'm sure, joining groups like Rotary or Chamber and many others that really don't live up to the hype. You're paying dues that don't get you anywhere, especially in a timely manner. And as you and I know, when you transition out, when that paycheck dries up, man, things start getting painful in a hurry. So definitely suggest mentorship, having mentors. That's why I created Ascension Mentorship, so that people can always have additional resources, ongoing resources, so that they never hit that end of the road and have that, oh, now what moment. That's why we created Ascension Mentorship the way it is. We do have veteran entrepreneurs literally around the world that we have access to. So even if you're departing from Germany or Japan, definitely get in touch with me, and I can easily connect you within our village.
All right, Albert. Well, that's it sounds like a great organization, and if you are getting out of the military or you're a new veteran entrepreneur, here's a veteran-run organization that can definitely connect you and hook you up with some good mentor ability, and really help either get your business started or take it to the next level.
Yeah, you bet.
All right, Albert. Well, thanks for sharing your entrepreneurial story, and we look forward to seeing your success here in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right. These two veterans are Oscar Mike. Hey, Albert wanted me to pass along to everybody that veterans get a 75% discount and military spouses get a 50% discount off the annual membership fee of $1,000. If you're interested in joining Ascension Mentorship, contact Albert at ascensionmentorship.com. Thank you for listening to Veteran on the Move, your pathfinder to freedom. If you like the show, leave us a review on iTunes. Reviews are always greatly appreciated. So until next time, this veteran is Oscar Mike.